At almost every major track, you've seen candy cane strip curbing along the side of certain sections. They come in many shapes and sizes and even sound cool as you ride over them. But what is this for and when do you use them? Let's chat. Today we are going to talk about on-track curbing and if you are using it right. I am going to start by defining what curbing is. It is usually a section of stepped asphalt that extends the track. In track lingo, they are called rumble strips. It is usually at the apex and the track out of certain racetracks, but not all tracks use this model. These sections are usually painted red and white and are paramount to use if you plan on going fast at a racetrack. Curbing comes in many shapes and sizes, and it's critical you are reading the asphalt before you decide to use it. This leads me to the next question. Why should I use curbing at a racetrack? Let's take a track like COTA, where it has a section of high-speed S's and a lot of curbing to use. Essentially, the more curbing you use at each of these apexes, the straighter line you make through this section. This will let you roll more speed through this part of the track, as you will have to slow down less and you are also traveling less distance. In sports cars, this is the easiest way to make lap time. Now, how much track you are able to use is decided by certain factors. If you are at an HPD, your job is to keep 2 tires on the black asphalt at all times. If not, the corner worker will black flag you for exceeding track limits. At least this is what the event organizer's protocol is. I have also seen that different racing organizations simply don't look at track limits, and those are where you find cars literally going straight through the S's. In their case, they are in search of nothing but lap time and track position, so going fast is the only goal. For us HPDE guys, sometimes using too much curbing can damage the vehicle. Let's look at COTA again. Sometimes they place these turtles on the inside of an apex, and for us HPD people, we simply stay away from them. Now look at racers and they are smacking those things. Again, their purpose on track is much different to ours, and do note their cars may also follow a more strict maintenance regimen than our street cars. Honestly, they are aware that this puts more wear and tear on certain components, but they are there to compete, and who knows, that corner of the car could be wrecked in an upcoming race. The next factor that determines how much curbing to use is stability. Some of these curbs will cause your car to jump in the air, and if you aren't comfortable with this, then there is a mental barrier in using them. This takes me back to the time at COTA where I found myself using a lot of curbing through the S's. The car was jolting up in the air all over the place and was super unstable. But I had it in my mind that this was the only way to go fast. It was 2022 where COTA had just repaved the track, and I decided to drive the track a little different. My approach on this next lap was to keep 100% section width of the loaded side of the tires on the black asphalt and the remainder of the car on the rumbles. This made for a smoking fast lap that I still look back to this day. By doing this, I had a very stable and predictable car under me. To add to this was that the repaved surface had mega grip, so why stay away from it? This is when I began to balance how much track to use versus grip versus stability in the car that I am driving. I am still guilty today of using too much track and having a very unstable car under me. Only a few weeks ago at COTA did I find that the car was much faster and stable if I only used half the curbing on the inside of turn 7. Yet, I still found myself using more than necessary, a lot of times. The next instance that comes to mind is John and myself speaking of curbing on entrance to the bus stop at Watkins Glen. I was in a 992 GT3 that had stock suspension, and the car did not feel great if you decided to use the extra track or rumble strips on entry. John said that his car felt super composed and just sucked up the bump on entry. This time, John was in a modified 991.2 GT3 RS with aftermarket suspension and aero, so that made for a car that was super stable over terrain like this. John later drove the blue 992 GT3 and said the car definitely didn't take the curbs well. Having a more capable shock absorbed the bumps better and kept the interaction between the tire and curbing more stable. This immediately makes for faster lap times as the driver is getting less negative or upset feedback from the car, and they are comfortable pushing the car a bit more. If you find yourself being curb shy, there is only one solution. Add more grip to your car. This by adding a grippier tire, aero, or suspension that will make the car better over sections where the car was previously very upset. This will take your mind off the "I'm going to crash" mentality, and gaining confidence automatically gets you lap time. If we get into the finer details, curbing design and place on track is also something to keep in mind. As of now, we have only been speaking of curbing at apex, but what about the curbing that causes the most accidents? Curbing on corner exit. The reason that curbing on corner exit makes so much damage is because you approach it with the loaded side of the car. It is crucial to use all this curbing to open up the corner as much as possible, but this type of curbing is usually followed by grass. Say we are entering the kink at Road America, which is a high-speed right. If you are carrying too much speed in and feel you are going to run out of track, it is against everything to do the correct thing. That is, to slow the car down slightly, but realize you are going off track. It's a gamble you must take, but having this mindset is okay. Straighten the wheel as you transition from the curb to the grass as much as possible, and ride it out until you have taken enough speed out of the car for a safe re-entry to the asphalt. The flip side is the dangerous one. Realize you'll be going off, chopping the throttle, which puts more weight on the left rear of the car, and keeping the steering the same. The second that car transitions from curbing to grass, it's game over. You're asking too much of the car, and most of the time this makes for a high-speed hook to the right and into the wall. Curbing on exit has a tendency to suck in the car if you are trying to put a lot of load through the car. Again, this makes me think of turn 8 at Road America, where the track out apron seems to be grooved and it's almost impossible to put the power down or even turn the car if you find yourself on it. Think of exit curbing as a last resort or an extension of the track if the car is pretty neutral over it. The last example of curbing I want to use are those at ECR in the Dallas, Texas area. These are super small sections of concrete at apex and track out that give you a gauge as to where you want to be. This track doesn't have the huge aprons that COTA has, but you will find people making the track wider by eating grass at certain apexes to make it a straighter shot through a certain section. This track has some interesting curbing, like the one between 13A and B and the track out of 10. These are designed to where they go up 45 degrees from the edge of the asphalt. This is the edge of the asphalt. They go up 45 degrees and then they plateau. You can actually use that 45-degree slope to catch your car on exit, but if you go just over that section onto the flat section, it is game over. As you transition from loaded to flat, this curb again sucks you in and into the dirt. I know some of you run at tracks that have little to no curbing, and when you come to COTA, I see you struggle to use the entire track. Please let us know why in the comments below. Make sure to follow us on all our social medias, as this is the only way to keep newcomers into motorsports informed. Remember, more like-minded people on track makes for a better time. Content like this will continue to come once a week, and if you want to find more informative videos, click here and dig through the channel. See you on the next one.